appreciate where you're at and look forward to working with you. Thank you very much.
Councillor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Councillor Plant. I'm wondering about the terms of reference. When I looked at them, most of them are from Vancouver, and so I'm wondering if you've taken them to Healthy Saanich, because I did hear one of the speakers talk about Vancouver terms of reference and Saanich's would be different. So I'm wondering if you've done that process or you are going to do that process.
Thank you, Councillor Brownhoff. Through you, Mr. Mayor, back to Councillor Brownhoff. The recommendation that came to Council tonight officially from Healthy Saanich, because we debated for about an hour to an hour and a half on the merits of the motion at the time, we were so caught up, all we did was pass the motion of recommending the committee. I truly believe that the understanding of the subcommittee idea at the Healthy Saanich, who had those terms of reference, was that they were forwarding all of the terms of reference as well. That's why my memo accompanied the memo, the motion tonight. The answer to your question is yes, they did see them, and there was very little comment on the actual terms of reference. There are approximately half of these are from Vancouver, admittedly, and modified, and half were based on my doing research and looking at other best practices, or what I would determine as best practices. So yes, there is a heavy Vancouver influence, and my opinion, since I've got a moment, would be that the first thing we could do as a subcommittee is just confirm that these are the terms of reference we wish to work with. And so if they needed to, I don't think they need to come back to council as opposed, as I've understood from staff, that really we're asking council to permit the creation of the subcommittee. The terms of reference are so that people don't go blindly into this first subcommittee meeting with no understanding of what's intended. So yes, they've been seen, and yes, I believe Healthy Saanich supported them. We were all tired, it was 9:45, and we didn't pass a subsequent motion to say yes to these terms of reference.
So with that in mind, I just want to say that this is a subcommittee of Healthy Saanich. So anything that comes through this committee must go back to Healthy Saanich to be ratified to come to council. Healthy Saanich had a number of committees, subcommittees, that looked at specific issues, youth employment, housing, and all those committees had a focus and a time frame, and all those recommendations went back to Healthy Saanich, and then recommendations came to council. So I just want to make sure, I always want community members, when they're engaged in a subcommittee or a committee, that there's actual action and changes that happen. It's not just sitting around and talking. We need to be able to have some action come out of it. There's a lot of comments about homelessness, and that might be something that you could take to the Homeless Coalition, you know, that sort of thing. So I just want to say I absolutely support it. I have friends who are part of this community. I consider Saanich an inclusive community, always have. But hearing some of the issues, I think, first of all from Councillor Bryce, because she chairs Parks and Recreation, and our staff are already doing some of those things. I think hopefully the committee could come up with a policy that could be reflective. Some of the other things Healthy Saanich did was we developed policies around employment. So there's supposed to be a certain amount of people that are employed by Saanich that may have a disability or those sorts of things. So this is absolutely a committee that it should fall on. But I want to make sure that the subcommittee does do work that ends up with motions and policies that can be adopted by council. Thank you.
Councillor Murdoch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Really everything has been said. Obviously, I'm very supportive. I want to thank the individuals who came to speak in support many hours ago now and hung around to hear what council was going to do with this item. Your stories, I think, were incredibly moving and exposed. I think one of the things that really resonated with me was the statement that a system that failed to consider us as part of it. And I think that that's really what the whole idea of the subcommittee is all about, that really, it's not just about policies and statements of inclusivity, it's really looking at making sure that we remove barriers to services and create opportunities for access to health that are not denied simply on the basis of someone's identity and who they are in this world. I was thinking, as many of the speakers came up, about my kids and however, whoever they are and whoever they're going to be in this world. I would not want to think that they would be denied services or face untold hardship simply because of who they are. That's completely unacceptable, and I'm really pleased to see Saanich moving in a direction to start removing some of those barriers that we may not even be aware of.
Councillor Haynes? She didn't, but you had yours first.
We've all spoken on several facets here, and without saying that we're even coming close to approaching solutions that will be needed, in the recent refit of the Commonwealth Place, they changed gender identification on the changing rooms to universal. So in acknowledging that, I think we are on that path. And my wife and I were there just the other day sharing the cubicles with a gay couple. They were sharing their cubicle. So we are on that path. I would say this though, this is more than a subcommittee. I would be surprised if coming out of this committee there is not a recognised need for ongoing work in this space, and that perhaps there could be consideration as we move forward that this could become a full advisory committee with the full support of Saanich behind it as we guide ourselves into the future and to strengthen the resolve of our straight community to understand the beauty and the joy that these diverse communities bring to us.
Councillor Sanders?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too will be supporting of this. I do support the issue. I'm a member of St. Aidan's Church, which is an affirming church. We've known these issues for a number of years, and so St. Aidan's declares itself to be fully inclusive of people of all sexual orientation and gender identities. But I'm also going to come to the practical place of Councillor Brownoff about committees as such, and we've heard from Councillor Dearman as well, and ensuring that the Healthy Saanich Committee is also engaged in this, and perhaps there needs to also be a member of them on this subcommittee. As a citizen, I was on two Saanich committees, and one in particular, the council at that time had a lot of subcommittees, and I know the committee, I won't say which committee it was, but I'll call the Mother Committee, the members became feeling disengaged, not part of it, although they kept being reappointed, because all these subcommittees were doing the work, and the report back didn't come. And so I just want to be assured the same thing. This is Healthy Saanich, and that the work this committee does, and I'm really quite confident they'll find the gaps that we aren't addressing already in Saanich, and the successes that we are doing, that those come back and report out from Healthy Saanich, and the policies come from there. And I would just like to close that I would hope that in Saanich we could end up with a statement that we do have at St. Aidan's Church, and I'll read it to you. That St. Aidan's is creating a community where all people, especially marginalized, are welcome and celebrated regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, race, age, mental and physical ability, gender, spiritual beliefs, ethnic cultural backgrounds, marital status, or economic circumstance. And that really talks to a complete inclusive community, and that was important in the church, so that we made sure that everybody was involved, and that was part of the affirming structures. And I will add, when I was looking at this today, on the UVic site there are 12 agencies. There are 12 agencies, actually, some are UVic based, some are regionally based, that are looking at the LGBTQ community. I got them all. So there are 12 there. So for people in the community that aren't aware of that, go to the UVic site and see them listed there and check out what they do. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think we've heard everyone speak. I think think the creation of the subcommittee is a great idea, and I want to thank Councillor Plant for spearheading this initiative. I think it's an easy one to support, and it's one that I'm very happy to support. It's about quality of life. It's about making Saanich a better place to live. It's about making our world a better place to live. And it's a step in the right direction. I know we have a long way to go, but we're only going to get there if we start taking those steps one by one. So with that, I'll call the question on the motion. All in favor? Opposed? None opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the housekeeping. It's a ratification of a development permit amendment.
Move ratification.
Thank you. Call the question on that. All in favor? Opposed? None opposed? That motion is carried unanimously. We now have some capital regional district updates, but I don't think we have time for it tonight. I think we should move it on to a future meeting. Councillor Plant?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to maybe suggest in the form of a motion that those be written reports that get appended to the next agenda package. I'm seeing some frowny faces, but if we want to expedite the meeting, that would be an option, is to have them written down for people to read. I'm not moving that, but if someone wants to.
Definitely. I've had a discussion with our manager of legislative services about that, and I think it's something we should have a greater discussion on. A lot of this material is already written down, but it's not really being recorded, and so I think we have to look at that as far as our records keeping goes. So with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn council so that we can move to the open forum. So I call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, so for everyone that's remained, thank you so much. It's been almost 4 hours, and your patience is appreciated. Our procedures bylaw allows for an open forum once a month. It's an opportunity for citizens to engage with council without the formal meeting proceedings. In order for the forum to be productive and meaningful for everyone, council and citizens, your respectful behavior in this chamber is appreciated. Each speaker will be given up to 3 minutes to address council on a district-related topic. Please be aware that some topics are excluded under the rules of legal or procedural fairness, and those have been listed on the screens as we can see. In this forum, you're addressing council. Please address your questions to me and not to individual members of council. As necessary, I will turn over a question to a member of council or an individual to reply. If questions remain unanswered, the question will be noted and later referred to staff for assistance. Members of council are to be advised that they should not make comments on behalf of council. So with that, please come up to the microphone and give your name and your address. And
John Scott, 1180 Rock Street. As one comment as an individual is 10:50 p.m. and last time I spoke at the open mic it was 10:52 p.m. so we've improved by 2 minutes. But that still shows a flaw in how this is organized. I think in the interest of public participation, we might want to look at some altering your system so the mic isn't at this particular time. But I'd also like to speak to you.
John, I'd like to interrupt you if I can and just ask for your suggestion. What would you like to see?
I think possibly you might want to have some sort of Tuesday session where if you're having a cleanup on other issues or something, have it at 7 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Continue.
Okay. I would also like to speak to you as chairman of the Saanich Community Association Network. So that's been referred to several times tonight. I just want to clarify exactly what SCAN is in case people have forgotten. SCAN is not separate from the community associations. It is the community association. It is the networking forum for community association. SCAN does not operate independently from community associations. The associations operate independently on their own. There is no SCAN president. There's a chair, which I fill that role right now. There's a vice chair. SCAN is well attended. At the last meeting, we had 14 of the 15 active community associations were there. The one that was not there sent their regrets. SCAN is an opportunity for Saanich to speak to all the associations in one place. You know, you might want to go up and talk to all the community associations, but I doubt you want to attend 15 independent meetings. If you want to speak to people in a reasonable time frame, SCAN is your perfect opportunity. In the past, this past year, this calendar year, the mayor has spoken to us. The CAO has spoken to us. Councillor Haynes has spoken to us in one of his initiatives. Councillor Plant spoke to us in public participation. At our meeting next week, the new parks manager will be speaking to us. So I just want to clarify that. that SCAN is the community associations, it is not independent of the community associations.
Thank you. Come on down.
Good evening, Mayor, councillors, staff, and members of the public. Thank you for letting me speak.
You're welcome.
I would like to echo the previous gentleman's statement about that this is a long time to have to kind of wait. My name is Mary Durham, and I live at 4190 Glendenning Road, and I had hoped to be able to address and share some of my concerns and comments with the people who had made the presentation earlier, but they've obviously chosen to leave. Glendenning Road is a very special road. It is a magical entrance to Mount Dub Park. My family and I are opposed to any changes to the road that would increase the volume of traffic on that road. It is a shared road used by walkers, joggers, skateboarders, cyclists, and cars. We acknowledge that there needs to be a discussion around parking in all areas of the park, but we would like to encourage the looking at of the additional accesses in the neighborhood that could possibly be maybe highlighted, maybe more people be made aware so that they don't all feel that they have to come down to that particular access. I did send most of you a letter outlining some of the concerns, so I won't take up too much more of your time. The one concern that I did want to have addressed tonight, though, was that I was concerned about the article that appeared in the newspaper on Saturday, and some of the comments that were made around...
Was this Saanich News or was this Times Call?
This was the Times Call.
Times Calls, okay.
And with statements, it was stated that the posting of the no parking signs was done through the lens of public safety, a statement made by Doug Henderson, Parks and Recs, and that removing on-street parking was necessary to ensure vehicles are not blocking the emergency access to the park, statement by the Saanich Fire Department. And although it was agreed that this was a potential hazard, people are still continuing to park illegally on that street, blocking the access and blocking the fire hydrants. And the people in that group have publicly stated that they will continue to do so. And I find this very distressing, that they would be willing to sort of place everybody's public safety at risk. I understand they have a problem with the process, but public safety should not, and fire department decisions should not be up for public debate. They need to honor those signs, they need to stop blocking the access, and we as a community can work together to solve the parking issues, but not at the expense of public safety. And I just also would like to say too that some of the suggestions that have come up around solving the problem are just outrageous in my mind. We talk to a lot of people at our farm gate. We walk that street every day. We talk to hundreds of people, and they are all equally appalled at the suggestion of widening that road to become another standard city road, cutting down trees so that cars can park. And it has caused a great deal of distress in the neighborhood, even having these suggestions placed forward in a public forum and placed in the newspaper and information sessions in the park. And so I guess I'm just asking you to please support the fire chief and your own municipality within the parking, and encourage these people to honor those signs until we can come up with other solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
It's Larry Lane, 1850, I'm going to know my address when I'm done this, 1850 San Lorenzo. Avenue in Gordon Head. First of all, I'd like to say that the fire trucks have a navigational alley that trumps moored cars. Secondly, I'd like to say...
I think that was a joke, but
it was supposed to be a joke.
well, it did this.
Well, you win some, you lose some. You know, I tried.
It's parted my hair on the other side.
It just shows that I was paying attention. Just shows I was paying attention. Anyway, which is pretty good for me. Budget item 101. Could that be printed in segments and published in the Saanich News? So that people, so that it actually could Saanich have an agreement with Saanich News that we have a place in the newspaper where we publish and have items and information. Thirdly, in terms of budget, future Prime Minister Trudeau has said the next 3 years there'll be lots of federal funds for infrastructure. So it's hard to imagine what our budgets could be. But if you look at what Victoria is trying to do, they are having a, and I'm sorry that Councillor Derman is the, oh there he is, phew. They are having a Biketoria Summit. A Biketoria Summit this Sunday, November 1st. It's from 2:30 to 5 o'clock at the Victoria Conference Center. And they have very big plans of what they're going to do. And I would think Saanich wants to link in with their plans, and hopefully some people can find their way there. That's Sunday, November 1st, 2:30 to 5:30 at the Victoria Conference Center. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Larry. Just to let you know, beyond the advertising that we do in Saanich News, I don't know how much we spend advertising in Saanich News, but we do a lot of advertising. But there is an internal initiative underway to do something more I'm not sure on what basis yet, but to do something on the larger scale, advertising initiatives in Saanich and news and things like that. Not just notices about, you know, the rec center pass cost this much and things like that. To actually use the publication as a means of reaching out to residents and giving them more information. So we're moving that direction, and I'd very much like to take your input and bring that into the process and see if we can put that kind of information along with the rest of the plan to put in. Thank you. Come on up.
My name is Earl Hannon, live at 4190 Glendinning Road. My cohort at that address has stolen most of my thunder, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I sent an email today to Chief Bridges, the fire department, and outlined concerns. Mary has already elaborated on most of them. I would just say that I feel strongly that I want the fire department to make decisions to ban parking. I want the department, as I say, to make fire safety decisions, not a small group of the public. I think it is important that Saanich Council publicly support the fire department's decision to ban parking on Glendinning Road. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak? Welcome back, Dean.
Dean Ramirez, 520 Beaver Lake Road. I just wanted to try and answer that question. What are some quick and dirty ways to improve the engagement process? Last time I was here, I spoke about healthy community being defined as one that's always in the process of continuous improvement. My business friends often say that rather than having a call of complaint from one of your customers, is to be proactive and always be engaged with them. In terms of engagement, I think the last time I talked to a local area planner, was involved in the planning process was in 2002, and in an environmental planning process in 2009. So I'm hoping to make some suggestions to my local area planner and see where we can go with them. And thank you very much, councillors. It's been very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Welcome back.
Basically, I'm up here speaking to the same item I spoke to the last time, which is the lack of bylaw enforcement in regards to parking on the boulevards. I believe that I actually sent an email to everybody, and actually thank you, Councillor Haynes, for actually getting back to me and trying to give me some information on what was taking place. The aspect of parking on the boulevard is in the streets and traffic bylaw. It is also a boulevard management bylaw. So basically, the Administrative Traffic Advisory Committee looks only at one part of it. The other parts of this are actual community character that this bylaw protects. It also protects green space within the community. It also looks after our urban trees within our boulevards. I basically phoned about a person up the street that had dug up the boulevard and gravelled it, and bylaw enforcement went by, looked at it and said, no, we're not doing anything. Well, they actually dug right up against the oak tree down to put in a wood barrier to hold the gravel in. But most of that gravel is now out on the street because they used a big, heavy, coarse gravel. The other aspect is that when we did the 2 surveys from the legal suites issue, the biggest item that came out in both those surveys from the north and south was the fact that bylaw enforcement needed to be looked at. And that's part of the agreement that the public said, yes, we'll allow suites, is because you guys said that you would actually start doing some bylaw enforcement. So now bylaw enforcement is not taken care of in this aspect. Basically, the whole survey, as far as I'm concerned, is a waste of taxpayers' money and time and effort. Same as staff's time to go out and do the survey. When the public speaks up in a survey, you need to follow through. Because if you're not following through on those surveys that the public is giving you information on, and that is what they feel, and that is their importance, then you're basically backstabbing, in a sense, backstabbing the community. And the fact is one of the reasons why you don't get a lot of public involvement is because people put the time and effort in and then they don't see any results of what they've actually spoken of. Right? You know what I mean? It's like you're just saying, yeah, thank you for the information and too bad. That doesn't get people engaged. People lose interest. They go, well, I spent time and everything, but didn't go anywhere. So why bother to spend any more time to get engaged? But this is something that's becoming more and more of an issue all throughout Saanich. Everywhere you look, boulevards are just turning into car parking lots. And basically it's because of the suites issue, right? And I mean, you've come through and said this is one of the requirements, is to have one off-street parking spot as far as your suite's concerned. But I mean, I just look at it as just the degrading of this municipality, right? I mean, it's like I've heard, oh yeah, well, you know, we're going to be doing curb and gutter on these roads and that'll take care of it. Yeah, when is that going to happen on all the roads? It's not. I think we need to start looking at this, not just keep waving it off, because this has been going on for years and years and years. Bylaw enforcement just does not want to do anything about it. You phone, they don't want to do anything about it. They have no interest in it, which is a shame, because it's a long-standing bylaw in both the streets and traffic and boulevard management. Boulevard management, like I said, is to look after the character of our neighborhoods. And by this not taking place, or this bylaw not being enforced, you're just letting the character of our neighborhoods decay. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public that wish to speak? Please come forward to the microphone. Calling a second time. Any members of the public that wish to speak? Calling a third time. All right, I made note of the comments here, and I'll take them to our staff and see how we can address those. And with that, we'll call into the open forum, and thank you all for coming.
Yeah, there's been 3 places.